The last time 16-year-old Kathy Marie Moulton was seen before her scary and mysterious disappearance was on September 24th, 1971. In her native Portland, Maine, Kathy had intended to go to a dance that evening. Before getting ready for the dance, Kathy asked her father to drop her off on Cumberland Avenue so she could get a pair of pantyhose and some toothpaste. Later in the day, she visited a friend at a music store on Forest Avenue. She told her friend that she would see her at the dance that night before announcing that she was going to walk home, which was about 1.5 miles away. After leaving the music store, she was seen strolling down Forest Avenue holding a brown leather Mexican clutch bag which had 2 toothpaste tubes, her house key, and very little cash inside. Her parents became concerned when she didn't return home by dinner time and filed a missing persons report. Kathy was seen in a stolen blue Cadillac with her friend named Lester Everett. Although it's possible that Kathy agreed to go with him, a few weeks after, she vanished. Lester, Kathy, and another man were reportedly spotted in a rural section of Aroostook County. The second young man was Ronald Reed Pearley. However, Lester was eventually found alone, and he claimed to not know where Kathy was. At Fort Fairfield in Aroostook County, a garage employee recalled seeing Kathy, Lester, and Ronald. They came to the garage to buy new tires for the Cadillac. According to the workers, Ronald seemed to be in charge of Kathy's movements, even guiding her to and from the restroom while placing his palm on the back of her neck. Witnesses claim to have seen Lester and Kathy on the Tobique Reserve across the border in September 1971, before the two moved to a farm in the Mars Hill region of Aroostook County and began working on a potato field at McBride's farm. Lester was entirely mistrusted by Kathy, who kept pleading with him to take her back to Portland, which he refused. A teen girl who worked on the field became friends with Kathy. Kathy was concerned that her parents would be angry with her and that they were undoubtedly looking for her, the girl claimed. The girl reported that in addition to crying frequently, Kathy appeared terrified of the other males working on the property. She constantly expressed that she wanted to return home. Lester grew weary of Kathy's constant pleading with him to go home. As a result, Lester got behind the wheel of the stolen car that evening, September 29th, 1971, with Kathy in the passenger seat, and told her that they were going for a ride while the other field workers were enjoying a bonfire. But before we get into that scary part of the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying this video and want to see more like this one. She pleaded with him to take her home again, but he refused. The following morning, Lester came back and claimed to have left her at a different camp, but in truth, he had brought her back across the Canadian border to the Tobique Reserve and left her there with Ronald. Lester and a few others departed for Florida to gather oranges when the potato harvest was finished. When questioned, he claimed he had no idea what had become of Kathy and never went back to Maine. Lester died of cancer in the mid-80s when he was 35. Ronald has long been a top suspect in this case, having served time for both rape and home invasion. Even when offered immunity from prosecution in exchange for details about what happened to Kathy, he has refused to assist police. Investigators have considered the possibility that Kathy was killed by Lester and that he left her body in the woods of Aroostook County. But this theory is unlikely, since some of Ronald's relatives would later verify the fact that Lester had dropped her off at their home, and they would claim that one of their relatives had harmed her. It's unknown if this is what happened. His family has also declined to speak with the police regarding Kathy. Investigators think she died before Thanksgiving in 1971 on the Tobique Reserve, but they never had enough evidence to bring any charges against anyone or even obtain warrants to search Ronald's family home. In the woods close to Smyrna, Maine, a hunter claimed to have discovered a skeleton in 1983 that was surrounded by women's clothing. Some investigators think that the remains were Kathy's. The bones were never seen again because the hunter was unable to retrace his footsteps back to the site so he could direct police there. When Kathy vanished, she was a junior at Deering High School. According to her friends, she seemed like a cheerful kid who had no motive to run away from home. Her mother is still alive and is hoping for a resolution to her case, even though her father passed away in 2017. When Alvin Matlock vanished in the spring of 1951, he was 21 years old. Many theories existed regarding what had transpired with him, but none of them were pleasant. Alvin was last seen in Spokane, Washington, and he was last known to be residing in a cabin on Browns Mountain in Spokane County at the time of his disappearance. His younger brother, Clyde, who was 12 years old when Alvin disappeared, is now 83 years old and continues to hold out hope that his brother's body will be discovered. Clyde and his wife Patricia went to the inaugural missing person event hosted by the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office in 2016. Attendees had the opportunity to file police reports, provide DNA and dental records, and share images of loved ones at this event, which was hosted to aid the facilitation of identifying missing persons. In a conversation with family members in March, Alvin gave them the location of his cabin. Alvin's family first became concerned about his disappearance on Thanksgiving Day, 1951, when he failed to show up for the family dinner. His worried mother drove to his cabin on Browns Mountain to find the cabin empty and both of his vehicles gone. The family was told by a neighbor that he had quietly packed up and gone to Alaska. Clyde and other family members believed this for a while, mostly because they wanted to. But as the years passed and there was no contact from Alvin, it became clear he was not in Alaska. According to a rumor, Alvin was having an affair with a married woman and had gotten into a fight with the man once the man learned what was going on. Some people believed that the woman shot Alvin during the scuffle, with reports from alleged neighbors saying that they heard his cries for help and that the couple just likely let him die. There was no body ever found. Police investigated these claims, but with no body, they couldn't make any arrests. There are no records of Alvin ever having lived in Alaska. However, according to family, Alvin was a loner and a big outdoorsman, and him moving to Alaska wouldn't be that far-fetched, especially since life in Alaska wouldn't really be that far off from the lifestyle that he was living in his cabin on Browns Mountain. Still, with no records of Alvin living in Alaska and the complete cease of contact from Alvin's end, it still just doesn't add up. And some suspicion was also placed on the neighbor who reported that he moved to Alaska. Patricia Matlock tried her own detective work in an effort to follow up on fresh leads and locate potential witnesses, but it was all to no avail. All Clyde could do during the missing persons event back in 2016 was hand over a few pictures of his brother and give his DNA in the hopes that one day his brother's remains would be found and identified.